Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, we're going to be creating this employee schedule template. Now, as you can see, this is a template that you can use to create a schedule for your employees. It goes all the way down to 50 employees, but you can expand this as needed by adding more rows. In addition to that, this will allow you to create a schedule for 1 week, 2 weeks, or even more. All you need to do is to add additional columns. In this section, we have an area that has summary data for each employee. So you can see the number of days they've taken off, number of PTO days, sick days, and other types of non-working days. This only has 4 examples of non-working days, but you can add more columns to meet your specific needs. After you have completed your schedule, you can either print it out or save it as a PDF and send it as an email attachment. We're going to be creating all of this today. Alright, so we are in the tutorial checklist page. We have completed the template overview, so we can cross this off. Next, we're going to create the setup tab. The setup tab is where we would add our shift start time, end time. This is what we're going to use to create the drop down in the schedule tab. Over here, we'll add our employee names. So start with a blank sheet. The first thing I usually do is to clean it up, and that means that I'm going to select the entire sheet, change it to the font I like to use, change the alignment. I'll change it to center and this middle alignment. And then I like to remove the excess rows and columns. So let me show you what I mean by that. If we go to the setup tab, you see that the rows are from 1 to 18 and the columns are from A to L. I'm going to remove everything after L and after row 18. So right here, rename this setup tab to, go to M, select it all the way down, delete, and then go to row 19, select all the way down to 1000 and delete. Now I can select all the rows like so, right click, resize it to 30. Select the first column and the right column. So that's A and L, right click, change that to 30 as well. All right, so back here, we'll start with this table from column B to E and row 2 to 13. This is the table area here. Go to borders. We're going to do an outside border. I'm going to use this gray color here and make sure that this solid line is selected and then click outer border. All right, so we have our border right here. All right, then we want to add a header and a sub-header area. Right here is going to be the main header area. So add a border there and add a border around this area right here. And then we'll merge this top header area like so. Select this entire area. Go back to borders. We're going to change the color and the style. I'm going to choose this gray right here and change the style to the dotted line. All right, and after we're done with that, we're going to choose horizontal borders. Click on that. And now it's hard to see, but once we're done with the structure and remove the grid lines, you should be able to see it without a problem. I'm going to copy this header area and just paste it, save time, but you can pause the video and use the same headers I'm using or change it to something that fits your specific situation. Next thing we're going to do is to resize this column so that everything fits better. So I'm going to select column BE, right click, and we're going to make this 175 and hit enter. The last thing we're going to do is create this area right here. This area is created by the start time and the end time. So whatever start time and end time we select here creates the schedule that we're going to use to create our drop downs in the schedule tab. Down here, you can add your different non-working categories. I only added 4, but if you have a lot more categories, all you need to do is to add more rows and add them right here. The idea is all these need to be in the same area so that when we create our drop downs, we can just select this area and add all of them into the scheduling tab drop down area. Back here, select this area all the way down to row 17, add a border around it so it looks like this. Next, we're going to work on the employee names. So it's very simple. We're going to create a spacer column and then expand the width of these columns and add our employee names. So here is the spacer column, resize that to 30, resize these columns as well. Change it to, let's say, 175 and add a border around this entire area. Select the header area, add a border around it and merge. All right, so this is where the header is going to go and our employee names will go here. Now we're going to add some internal borders. So click this entire area, back to borders, change the color to a lighter color. I'm going to change the style to the dotted line and do horizontal borders. If you want to add vertical borders, you can do so as well. I'm going to leave it like this for a cleaner aesthetic. Back to our example, the next thing we're going to do is add our start time and end times. And then we'll add the formula here that will calculate the difference between the start and the end time. All right, so before we add our start time and end times, go ahead and select these 2 columns. All right, we're going to add the format for time. So to do this, go to format, number, go to custom date and time. And what you're looking for is something that looks like this. So it may not show up here for you. You may have to scroll all the way down to find your time format, but mine shows up because I recently used it. So I'm going to select this format and then you can go here and customize it even further to fit your specific preferences. click apply, and then now if we go here and type 7 a.m., it shows up in this time format. Now you can go ahead and add your specific start times and end times that works for your schedule. I'm going to add placeholder data here. Feel free to do the same as well. Later on, you could swap out the placeholder data for the real start time and end time. All right, so here is my placeholder data. What you're going to notice is that right here, these are dropped down. This is not necessary, but if you want to have the flexibility of selecting start time and end times, you can do it this way. So going back to the setup tab, you can convert this to a drop down by selecting this entire area, data validation, add rule. And here you can see that we have our drop down right here. You can add some more times if you need to by clicking add another item and then add the additional times that you want to show up in your drop down. I'm going to remove this for now and just leave it like this. Next, we're going to add the formula that goes here. The formula is going to calculate the number of hours between the start time and the end time. Back here is what the formula looks like. You can use a simpler formula, but what I like about this formula is that it's going to calculate all of them automatically. So I'm going to copy this. And you can pause the video and copy the formula. Back here, I'm going to paste it and hit enter. And as you can see, it calculates the hours for all the rows automatically. The next formula here is the formula we're going to use to display the schedule, which is a combination of the start time and the end time. I'm going to pause the video so you can go ahead and copy the formula. I also leave the formula on the screen so it's easier for you to see. Go back to the setup tab, paste it right here and hit enter. All right, so far so good. Next, we're going to add our non-working codes here. So this would be things like PTO, sick day. Here are the examples that I have right here. So if you need to add more, all you need to do is just extend this by adding more rows. So go ahead and add your own examples here, or you can use placeholder data and then later on you can add your real example names here. Next, we'll work on this table here. It's pretty straightforward. All we're adding is the header area and then adding our employee names. You can use placeholder data later on, swap that out with the real data. For this tutorial, I'm going to reuse the examples here to save time. So go here and paste them here. All right. But for you add your header area and you just type in your employee names. All right. So now that we're done with the general structure, we can go ahead and remove the grid line. Go to view, show, and remove grid line. Now you can see the structure a little bit better. We should add some internal borders here. Select this entire area, go back to borders, select color and style and click on horizontal borders. All right. So next we're going to add some colors. How I like to add colors and how I recommend that you add colors is that you use the custom colors. The reason I like to use this is this allows you to change the colors a lot easier later on. If you need to change the color in the future, all you need to do is go here, change the color here, and it changes it automatically across the template. I'm going to apply colors from the theme area. Go ahead and apply the colors that works for your specific use case. All right, so here is what our setup tab looks like. Back to our checklist. We've done the setup tab. Next, we're going to work on the schedule tab right here. Here's what the schedule tab looks like. We have these 3 core areas. The first area is where we're going to add our employee name, and you also select your dates here. Right now it says April 2025. We can double click October 1st, and then it updates the dates right here. Here's where we'll add the drop down for our employee names. The second area is where we'll add the drop downs for the schedule. This goes from October 1st to October 31st. So we have enough columns to go for an entire month, but you can add whatever number of columns you need. If you're using more than 1 month, you need to add additional columns. The third area right here, I'm going to collapse this so it's easier to see. All right, so here's the third area. This shows you the non-working days. The days of here matches what we have entered in the schedule area right here. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and start creating this tab, starting with a new sheet. Cleaning it up, selecting the entire area, changing it to my preferred font and changing the alignment. If we go back to our schedule tab, you can see that we're actually going to need to add more columns, but we are going to remove some rows. So I'm going to remove everything after 55. But if you're going to use this template for more than 50 employees, add more rows to fit the number of employees that you have. Back here, I'll remove everything after 55, select the entire area, right click, resize, make that 30. And then instead of removing additional columns, in this case, we're going to add in more columns. I'm going to be replicating this template for 31 days. I'm going to need to add columns all the way to 8. So I'm going to go here and just add additional columns. So select as many as I can, right click and insert 22 columns to the right. I'm going to see how much I have. I can remove these ones because I don't need them. Just delete. All right. And I'm going to select AQ all the way down here. Select column A, right click. 30. All right, so back here, we're going to work on it section by section. We'll start with this section here. We have the first column, which is where the number is going to go. The next column is where our employee data is going to go. And the third column is where the total number of hours is going to go. So these columns need to be different sizes based on the different types of data that's going in here. So back here, this is a narrow column. I'm going to resize this to 30. Here's the column for the employee name. Resize this to 175. And this is already at 100, and that should be enough for the data that goes in there. And then these two columns, we're going to select both of them and resize them to 15. Enter. So this is going to be the column that divides the first section from the next section. And then what we're going to do next is freeze the column right here between E and F. Because the employee name is over here, we need it to always show up regardless of how much we scroll to the right. So to do this, we're going to go all the way here. You see this thick line here? When it shows up as a hand, go ahead and just drag it between column E and F like so. And then here's where our table is going to go. Select this area, skipping the first row and the last one. So it's going to be from row 2 to 54. Add a border around it. Here's where the header is going to go. So I'll add a border around that as well. And then I'm going to merge this. This area is where the date's going to go. Select this area, go to data, data validation, add rule, and change it from drop down to is valid dates. All right, reject the input, check this box, click done. And then now if I double click, the calendar shows up and I can add whatever date I want. I'm going to change the format that it's displayed. So go to format, number, custom date and time, change it to this format right here. So it shows up as the month, the day, and the year. And then you can go here and customize it even further based on your preferences. Click apply. Here is what it looks like. Go ahead and make it bold so it stands out. All right, so here's where the number is going to go. Employee name and total hours. Add a border around this as well. And then now we can select this entire area and do some internal borders. Go to borders. I'm going to change it to the lighter color just to keep things consistent and change it to this style and do horizontal borders. All right, so we'll add some numbering. We're just going to do 1 and 2. Select both of them and just drag it all the way down. So we have 50 employees. If you need to add more, go ahead and add more rows. For this column, we're going to add a drop down. Select a few rows, data, data validation, add rule. Because we only selected a few rows, we can then go to apply range and remove C10. And what it's going to do is going to apply it all the way down. Change this from drop down to drop down from range. Select this icon, go to our setup tab, and we're going to select this entire range. In the future, if you add more columns here in the middle, it would automatically be added to this range. Click OK, and then go all the way down here, advanced options, and you can use the chip style if you want, or arrow or plain text. For this, I'm going to use arrow and click done. So now when we go here, you can see that the employee names show up and we can select whatever employee name we want. By the way, if you haven't renamed your sheet, go ahead and add your sheet name here. Mine is schedule tab number 2 to distinguish it from the example schedule tab. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is work on this section right here. I'm going to make it smaller so it's easier to see. So you can see that we have enough columns for 31 days. So going back here, I'm going to select everything, okay, from the first row to the last. So from row 2 to row 54, row 2 to 54, and we're starting from column G. So E and F are spacer columns, and then just select all the way down to AP. So from column G to AP, from row 2 to 54. Go back to our border, add a border around it, and then we're going to need to add some more borders. The first one is for the header area here, and then another one right below it, and then internal borders. So select everything. We're going to add horizontal internal borders and then add vertical borders to select everything. We're going to use a solid line vertical borders. Back here, the next thing we're going to do is add our drop downs in this entire area. Back here, select the entire area, go to data, data validation, change it from drop down to drop down from range, select the icon to select data range. Back to our setup tab, we're going to select this range here, all of them, the times and the days off. Click OK. We'll leave it as chip. Click done, and here's what it looks like. The last thing I'm going to do is to change the column width. Select everything, right click, resize, 175, enter. So here's what it looks like. If you go here, you can see that I can collapse this so that if you want to look at the employee name and the data without the schedule, you can do that. To collapse it, select G all the way down to AP. Go to view, group, and group G to AP. Now we can click on the icon here to open it up or collapse it. The next thing we're going to do is we want this day to show up here and the dates to show up here, and the day and the dates will depend on the dates that has been selected here. So this says October 2025. Let's change the format so we can see the dates. This is October 1st 2025, right? And if I change this to October 4th, this changes to October 4th. This gives you the flexibility to create your schedule from whatever day of the month you want. You don't have to start from the first day of the month. So back here, equal sign, select this date area, hit enter, and here we have October 1st. Do the same thing, equals, select enter. We can test it out. Let's change this to October 16th. this changes to October 16th. So next thing we're going to do is add a formula so that the rest of the dates show up here incrementally. Equals, click here, +1. So that's G2 +1. Do the same thing here, equals G3 +1. So you can see October 16th, October 17th. Now what we can do to make it go quicker, select these two rows, copy it, select the rest of the columns all the way down to AP, right click, paste formula only. Now we have October 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th. And if we change the date here to October 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, so everything works the way it's supposed to. We do want to change how it's displayed here. Instead of October 1st, 2nd, 3rd, I wanted to show the weekday. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And then here I only wanted to display the month and the dates. So we're going to change the formatting. We'll start with this first row, select everything all the way down, go to format, number, custom date and time, scroll all the way down until you see the one that works. If you don't, that's fine. We can recreate it. So let's say we'll start with this one. So it has more than we need. All right, we don't need the year, we don't need any of this. So we can just go ahead and delete it. So delete the year, delete the day, delete the month, delete the extra commas and space, and choose how you want the day displayed. So we want it displayed as the abbreviation, or you want to display it as a full date. We have enough space for the full day, so go ahead and select that and click apply. Now we have only the days showing up here. I'm going to repeat the same for this row. Select the entire row, go back to our custom date and time, and then we can decide what we want displayed. We can use this and remove the year. We don't need that. All right, remove the space and the comma. And then now we can choose to either show the abbreviation for the month or the full month. I'm going to choose the abbreviation and show the day with the leading 0. Click apply. Now you can see we have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Let's change this to December 1st. And we have it shown up in the correct format. December 1st is a Monday. Monday shows up here. All right, next we're going to work on this section right here. So I did make a mistake. I extended the schedule area all the way down to AP. So we're going to need to clean that up. For this area here, we need 1, 2, 3, 4 columns from AM to AP. So back here, I'm going to delete everything from AL to E. All right, and remove this group for now. We'll replace it later. So this is going to be a spacer column. So resize this to 15. Add a border here, so this right border. And then here we're going to do the same thing. Select this area here. Make sure we have our auto border. And then this has some borders that we don't need. I'm going to select AL. Go back to borders. Change it to no borders. Select horizontal borders. So now we don't have any borders here. And then we're going to resize this column. So we don't need it to be this wide. Right click, resize, enter. All right, and then we're going to need to add some headers here. We're going to add non-working days and different examples of non-working days. We're going to use a formula to pull it from our setup tab. So right here, select the header area, merge it. I'm going to paste the header. And then here is where we're going to add a formula. So it pulls in those examples automatically. Here's what the formula looks like. It's pulling in those examples from the setup tab in this range. Pause the video so you can copy the formula. Back here, scroll all the way down. Here's where we're going to place the formula. Paste it. And the only thing I'm going to do is reference this setup tab 2. You don't need to change the formula if your setup tab name is setup tab. I'm only changing it so it's consistent with this tab that I am using. So I'm changing to setup tab 2. And I don't need to change the range. So if we go to setup tab 2, the range is still the same. It's from E14 to E17. So if I go here, it's E14 to E17. So it works the way it's supposed to. So we have our examples here. Days of PTO, sick, and FMLA. Of course, you can easily type the examples here, but the reason why I like to use formulas when it makes sense is to make things easier in the future. So if I need to change something here, let's say I want to type vacation instead of PTO, I change it here and it changes everywhere automatically. So if we go here, it changes it here and right here in the drop down automatically. So let's go back and group this area. So from AK all the way down to column G, view, group G to AL. And then now I can select this icon and it collapses the entire schedule area. Okay, so we need to add formulas here and we need to add some conditional formatting formulas. So we'll start with this one right here, total hours. So back to our example, here's the formula right here. All right, we're going to copy it and paste it in our schedule tab. But before we do that, I need to point out the range right here. If you're not using the exact columns and rows and ranges that I'm using, you're going to need to change the range here. All right, because for this scheduling tab, I'm using the exact ranges from scheduling tab. This formula should work automatically. If yours is different, you're going to need to change it here, here, and here. I'm going to copy it. Go ahead and pause the video so you can copy the formula as well and paste it right here. Hit enter. So it says 0, and that's because we haven't added any schedule for this employee. So let's add a few. So let's say 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. That's 9 hours. And if we add another one of the same, let's add the same schedule again. So now that's 18 hours. add a different one, 26 hours. You can see that it adds everything up automatically. Now all we need to do is just copy this formula, select the rest of the range all the way down, right click, formula only. If we add some more schedules, you can see that this works the way it's supposed to. If you double click in the formula, you can see that it's selecting the correct range. For employee number 16 in row 5, you can see that it's G5 to AK5, which is the range that's here. All right, from the first schedule to the last schedule. So for the employee, just make sure the range is the first column and the last column for the schedule, and the row number matches the row for the employee. Next thing we're going to do is add our conditional formatting formula, and here is where it shows up. This may not be obvious, but if you look at the weekends are gray. So we have Saturday, Sunday. All right, Saturday, Sunday, it's gray as well. Saturday, Sunday, that's gray. This is automatically created with conditional formatting. Here's the conditional formatting formula. We're applying it to this entire area where the schedule is going to be selected. And here's the formula. Go here. We're selecting this entire area where the schedule is going to be. That's G4 all the way down to column AK. And then go to conditional formatting. Either text color or fill color. You can see the conditional formatting option is right here. So the correct range is selected. But we're going to change the format rules. So change it from whatever it's selected here all the way down to custom formula. We're going to paste the formula here. All right. And as you can see, the first one, Saturday, Sunday, the next one, Saturday, Sunday. It is recognizing the columns with Saturday, Sunday, and it is highlighting them as needed. And if you look at the formula closely, G2 right here is what it is using to calculate the Saturday, Sunday. So if your first column for your date is not G2, make sure you change it in this formula or it's not going to work. If you don't want to highlight Saturday and Sunday, so maybe the days off for your specific use case is not Saturday and Sunday, maybe it's Friday and Saturday, just change this and it will highlight those 2 days. And then you can change the formatting style here. I'm going to select this color right here in our custom color palettes and click done. The last formula we're going to enter is to calculate the number of vacation days per employee. Here's what that formula looks like. All right, so right here, we have a count if formula. It's going to look through the row number. All right, so this row number is G4 for this employee all the way through the scheduling area. So G4 to AK4, and it's going to count the number of times we have days off in that range. The same thing for PTO. It's going to look through that range for that employee. It's going to count the number of times PTO shows up in that range. All right, so we're just going to copy the formula right here, go to our schedule tab and paste it here. All right, it says 0, which is fine. I'm going to paste the formula for the rest of them. We'll start with vacation. It's off. If we double click, you can see that the day off is represented in the formula. So that's column AM and row 3, which is this one right here. So we're going to reuse the same formula, but change this area so it selects the right cell. So this is going to be for vacation. So we're going to change it to AM. The number is the same. All we need to do is change the column number. So this is AM. Now you can see select vacation, hit enter. Do the same for the rest of them. Now we're going to change it from AM to AM. Now select the sick day and do the last one the exact same. Change it from AM to AP. All right, so it all says 0 now, which is fine because we haven't assigned any of those examples to the employees. So let's go ahead and test it out. I'm going to add right here day off, and you can see this shows up as 1. Let's do vacation day, 2 vacation days. So now we have 1 day off and 2 vacation days. If I change this last vacation day here, let's change it to sick day. We have 1 sick day. And let's add one of the last example just to make sure all of them work. So we're going to have 1 for each. So this is going to count the number of days, right? It's not counting the hours. It's just counting the number of days for each example, while this is counting the number of hours for the working days. And the final step is to add your colors. Like I said before, go ahead and add whatever color that works for your specific needs. I'm going to be adding the same colors that I used in my example tab, which is selecting the colors from the custom color area right here. All right, and then one final thing that you might want to do is to change the colors for each schedule. So if we go here, you can see that I have different colors assigned to the different schedules. So we're going to do the same here. It's optional, you don't have to, but here's how to do it. So click on any of the drop downs here, doesn't matter which one, and now they're all gray, so none of them have assigned colors. So you can go ahead and assign whatever color you want. So you can either click on the color here, the preset color, or you can click on customize. You have additional color options to add. To keep it simple, I'm using the colors from this preset area. I've applied all the colors here and click on done. It's going to ask if we want to apply to all the drop downs. We want to say yes because we want every single drop down to have these different color options. So click apply to all. Now, anywhere we select and add a color, you can see that it applies that color to that area. All right, so go ahead and test it out and make sure everything works. If you have an issue with the formula, the first thing I recommend is double check to make sure you're using the correct range. To make it easier, use the ranges that I am using. Later on, you can adjust it and the formula would adapt automatically. All right, back here in our tutorial checklist, we have covered all of these. We did the structure of the table. We don't have a dashboard, so just cross that off. We added our drop downs, our formulas. For the last two options here, I'm going to show you a demo copy of the schedule that I have for sale. It's just like the one we created here, but it's a lot more advanced, meaning you have a lot more features and capabilities. So if you're looking for something even more robust, I'll leave a link in the description box so you can go ahead and check it out. And then for my paid Patreon members, what you're going to get is this template here. So the one we just created in this tutorial, you get access to it, but not only that, you get access to any of my past tutorials and the templates that I have created in those tutorials, as well as any other tutorials I create in the future. Thank you for my current Patreon and your support. I really appreciate it. Before I show you the demo copy of the advanced template, I do want to show you one more thing. First, we're going to remove the grid line, which I forgot to do. So let's just take that out. And then I want to show you how to print this template or save it as a PDF. So to do this, we're going to go to the print icon right here, click it. We're going to need to adjust it. First thing is select your paper size. There are different options here. Now we're going to go with landscape for page orientation. For scale, here's where we're going to need to change it so it shows up properly. If we change it to normal, here's what it looks like. It's not really taking advantage of the space. If we change it to fit to width, that's what we had before, so that's not going to work. Fit to height, that's already looking better. Let's go to margins. So when we click on margin, we want to maximize the space. This is what it looks like. And we change it to narrow, this gets a little bit bigger. So if this is still too small for you, what we can do is do set custom page breaks. So click on that, and then now you can make some changes here. So we're going to move this first one. So for this first one, we're going to move it over here, and then we're going to move this one for the row up here, and then let's see what that looks like. Confirm breaks. So here's what that's looking like. All right, so it's a little bit bigger, and you can continue to play around with it. So maybe move this back here and confirm. So here's what that looks like. Go ahead and play around with the custom page break until it creates something that works for you. So maybe I'll move this to October 7th right here. So this is one entire week. Click confirm page breaks. So here is what it looks like. This is a 1 week schedule. This is the next week, and this is the next week. Each page has a schedule for 1 week. And then of course, click on next. So you can save it as a PDF or you can print it out. Go ahead and click on this drop down and complete the steps to print it out. All right, so back here, we can cross out the Patreon. So let's take a look at the demo copy of the template I have for sale. All right, so here is what it looks like. First, we have our setup tab. You can add a lot more information, even things like holidays, adding your logo, etc. Then we have a dashboard tab that summarizes all of the information from the monthly tabs. So here are the monthly tabs already preset from January all the way through December. And here is a tab that has more specific information. So if you need more data related to a specific employee, you can find it here. All right, so that is all I have for you. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. If you found this useful, definitely give me a like. And of course, share this tutorial with someone that might find it useful. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.